Good evening once again. Welcome to our Sunday night spotlight. We have a very interesting discussion to be had this evening, and it's a discussion about a topic that is prominent on the various social media platforms. We have seen last week the assassination of a political, for want of a better word, an interesting character, Mr. Charlie Kirk. And it has ignited a firestorm on the various social media platforms, in the political sphere, in the social sphere, in the religious sphere. There's a fierce debate going on, and the debate is coming from many different angles. Mr. Charlie Kirk has made it abundantly clear that he embraces the Sabbath. Mr. Charlie Kirk, from what I have read, has made some very controversial statements. Mr. Charlie Kirk also is politically aligned. And he has used his popularity and garnered very broad support, mostly on the college circuit. He was sadly shot and killed in one of those college debates. I grieve for his family, I grieve for his children, but in the whole mix of the debate, from every different angle, I think we are missing a most critical element in this whole scenario. Mr. Charlie Kirk was not the first political figure to be assassinated here in the United States of America. And I have no doubt in my mind that he will not be the last. But over time, what we have seen is a kind of development that speak to the issue in a deep way. What we are missing, like I said, is the power of our words. I think that is the crux of the matter. I think that is what we are missing, the power of our words. Whether we are politicians, whether we are musicians, whether we are actors, whether they are preachers or pastors, husbands, wives, children, our words have immense power. Words carry immense power. It is words that cause us to defend ourselves from unjust criticism. It is our words that really gives the big picture of who we are. Most times you really can't get into a person's brain, but by the words that emanate from his mouth, you can get an idea of what really lies deep down within. It is against that background I want to look at the power of words. You see, Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 6 makes a very pointed statement. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 6 says, the words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver him. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the word of the upright shall deliver him. Words have power. And so the assassination of Charlie Kirk has spawned a fiery debate on all informational media. It also enhanced the currently unhealthy disagreeable discourse, both politically and socially. However, where the discourse is lacking is the acknowledgement of the power of our words. I believe when we would have acknowledged that our words have power, then we would come to some semblance of thought that what we say can adversely affect us, either in the long term or in the short term. So words are not mere vessels of communication. They are architects of reality, wielding an influence that permeates the psychological, social, cultural, philosophical, and spiritual dimension of human existence. Make no mistake about it. But at the core of human cognition, words exert a profound psychological force, molding self-perception, emotions, and mental health. Positive words act as a catalyst for motivation and resilience, and inspiring individuals to surmount great obstacles. But conversely, negative words inflict deep wounds, often rivaling physical pain in their sting. Often rivaling physical pain in their sting. Our words matters. Words matters. This duality of the power of words underscore a key psychological truth. Words are not passive. They biochemically alter the brain, with positive language boosting dopamine and negative triggering stress. Responses like cortisol surges. Intentional speech, therefore, becomes a therapeutic tool, rewiring neutral pathways towards empowerment. When one take a look at this kind of declaration, you can then get a big picture of the power of words. Beyond the individual, words forge social fabric, embedding cultural norms, perpetuating biases, and driving collective behavior. Philosophically, though, the power of words resides in their intimate entanglement with ideas. In other words, your thought processes can become useful or useless when words are tied to them. Serving not just as descriptors, but as active forces in shaping existence. Listen to what George Berkeley, the 18th century idealist, says. He posits these words: they possess an active operative nature oriented towards practical good can tear down and they can lift up. Our words can make and they can break. We're living in a world where, as we see the dynamics unfolding, we see attempts are made at censoring people for words that they say. We see a great push by forces, governmental forces and otherwise, to censor words. You see, the Bible elevates the power of words to a sacred plane, portraying them as reflection of God's creative fear. Listen to what was said in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So from the very beginning of the human existence or earth's existence, it was words that bring this world into existence. Again, amplifying the idea, words have power. Words are a gift with cosmic states. They can build up and they can destroy. Let's hear what Proverbs 12 and verse 6 says. Proverbs 12 and verse 6 says this: "The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them." Words have power. In the whole scheme of the development that is taking place, the discourse and the dialogue, it is words that is driving it. The words that we speak, that is what is causing the issue. We don't speak words to uplift people. We speak words to embarrass, ridicule, tear down, and break. See? Central is Proverbs 18 verse 1. Listen, Proverbs 18 verse 1. It says, "True desire a man," 18 verse 21. It says, "Who death and life are in the power of the tongue. They that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." Let me repeat that one more time. This statement is made by none other than King Solomon. King Solomon said, "Death and life is in the power of the tongue." Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Gentle words are a tree of life. Listen to Proverbs 15 and verse 4. It says this: "A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness there is a breach in the spirit." A perverse, verse 4, it says, "A wholesome tongue is a tree of life." Uplifting words will build up anything. But Proverbs 12 and verse 25. Proverbs 12 and verse 25 says this: heaviness is in the heart of a man, maketh it stoop. Heaviness in the heart of a man maketh it stoop. But a good word maketh it glad. In other words, words can affect even the heart. Words can determine the extent of our heart's condition. Proverbs 16 and verse 24 says this. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. Words have power. One of the chief reasons given for Mr. Charlie Kirk assassinator is that his words hurt. His words give a picture that he was not conservative enough. We have heard powerful people make derogative statements about other people. If more positive words are spoken, I guarantee you the level of heated, negative emotional discourse that is taking place would have decreased rapidly. Pleasant words are as honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. Yet, deceitful speech crushes the spirit. Deceitful words crushes the spirit. And this underscores the need to control our words. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up. Ephesians 4 and verse 29 says this. Let not corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. In other words, we are charged by God to use words to speak life into people. We are in a serious time in this world. And the weight of our words can determine the direction that other people's life goes in. Jesus himself amplified our accountability in using words. Listen what Matthew 34 12:34 it says, by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Words have power. The debate around Charlie Kirk and his death and the political discourse that we now are heatedly engaged in are none other than the words that we use one to another. Let not corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Build up each other with positive words. We have from the very top of government to the very supporters, all engaged in using words like nuclear bomb. And that will get us nowhere soon. Psalms 107. Psalms 107 tells us this. And verse 20 says this. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destruction. Words have power. It makes no sense we cry over the level of harsh discourse that we are having now on the political side and on the social side, when the fuel that keep these discourse that are so harshly engaged in is our words. It is our words that is the fuel that is lighting the kind of discourse that we are having in this country today. It is words that caused Charlie Kirk's family to be without a husband. Children to be without father. And Charlie Kirk is just not the only one. But there are many other people who lost their life because of words, yea or nay, good or bad. Words have power, brothers and sisters. If a husband lifts up his wife with positive affirmation, his wife would glow. If a wife uses positive words to affirm her husband, he will move mountain for her. If a father instructs a son with positive words, he will grow to revere you. If a father uses positive words to his daughter, she would know what to expect from a man. Words have power. You see, James 3:1-12 warns of the tongue disproportion, small yet uncontainable, like a ship's rudder steering a vessel or a spark igniting a forest. It demands taming through wisdom, lest it poison a relationship. And currently, it is ripping this society apart. Our words are ripping each other apart. Words have power. Whether we like it, yes or no, our words carry weight. But just let me read what James chapter 3 and verse 1-6, how it builds upon the construct of our words and how they can affect people. James 3, 1-6 says this. It says, my brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall have greater condemnation. For in many things we offend in all. If a man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Behold, we put bit in horses' mouth, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold also the ships, which, though they be so great, are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. Words have power. If one can control his tongue, it is highly likely that you will be able to control many other things. There is life and death in the tongue. Put another way, there is life and death in the words that emanate from our mouth. Words have power. The power of words converges across domains. Psychologically, they rewire our minds. Socially, they sculpt societies. Philosophically, they act as ideals. Biblically, words echo eternity. You see, let me say where we are today. Charlie Kirk's assassination brings to the fore the power of words. I want us to understand this. On both sides of the political divide, harsh words have been thrown like bombs across on each other. And as a result, no one sees the need to pull back. No one sees the need to stop. And as one throw an harsh word, the next throw an harsher word, and inflame the society, socially and politically. It is nowhere possible for us to continue the way we are. You see, we must understand that the society, though we have more information than any other time in history, the society is more disagreeable than any other time in history. The political divide is ripping people apart. And it's not just confined to the politics or the social dynamic. The church too. The church is being ripped apart by words that does not edify nor uplift. You see, there are people who use words to tear down, not just only to tear down, but as a means to an end to get ahead. When someone's character is defamed, it is words that is used to defame one's character. You see, the peril of words lies in impulsivity when they are unbridled. And in this regard, when we have an unbridled willingness to dispense words that cut and tear, we must also bear in mind danger lurks around the corner. I have read some comments by Mr. Charlie Kirk, and they were not kind comments. I have read some of Mr. Charlie Kirk's negative comments, and these comments really hurt people. But that's no justification to assassinate Mr. Charlie Kirk, costing his 2 young children to lose a dad and his wife to lose a husband. But there are, without a doubt, unintended consequences for our words, the way how we use them. If we use words to uplift, to praise, and to encourage, the result will be positive affirmation. But when we use words to tear down, to ridicule, to malign, the consequence undoubtedly can be deadly. That's where we are in this dynamic today. That's where we are. And nobody wants to pull back. Nobody wants to pull back. Everybody wants their words to kill as much as it possibly can. In an era of digital echo and algorithmic amplification, let me implore intentionality. The intentionality that we all must have in this time is to speak to heal and not harm, declare life and not death through our words. Words have power. The debate around the death of Mr. Charlie Kirk will not end anytime soon, because best believe another Charlie Kirk will come to the fore. Best believe another political assassination will come to the fore. So, what then? What then? What then? Let me remind us, and let me just suggest to us to take careful thought of our words, simply because that small element called the tongue, though small an organ in the human construct, it carries immense power. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Let me repeat that. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Put another way, death and life are in our words. Words are power. It is important that we bear in mind that as we live in a harshly critical world, sharply divided world, we can change the direction of our discourse, and we can change it by way of our words. If power, if death and life are in the tongue, why not forego death, or words that bring forth death, and advance and amplify words that bring forth life. Why not? Why not? Why not forego words that bring death, or abandon words that bring death for words that bring life? I believe that's where we ought to go now, to pull back from the edge of the cliff that we are like breakneck speed heading towards. Use words that speak life rather than death. I want to close this presentation tonight by asking us, let us speak to heal and not to harm. Declare life and not death by our words. I want to say thank you for being here with me this evening. Cedric, big up. Marjorie, big up. Let all endeavor to speak life. Use our words to engender life rather than let our words act like nuclear bomb and destroy everything that it touches. I want to say thank you for being with me this evening. God bless. See you next week.